Invest India that has been done. What the report covers is basically the global outlook of the MROs, where the country stands, and a case study on certain aspects. And thereafter, it is also a ready primer on an investor. If some investor wants to put in his money here, then how much money does he have to put in to start a particular MRO? We are not looking at the engine MROs, we are looking at the basic MROs, but it is a good primer to begin with, and a lot of work has gone into it. I request the Honorable Secretary to release this book, this study, in the presence of this audience, and then I request the Secretary to take his note of it.
West India. Nobody from West India today? This is very good report. In fact, I had the occasion to glance through. And so, namaskar and good morning, everyone, distinguished industry leaders, MRO partners, senior government functionaries, OEMs, representatives, and their colleagues. This is, I think, in fact, I was really looking forward to participating in this session, something which is very, very close to my heart. We've been working on this sector for a long time. Ever since I was there in defense, we started working on this. It's a pleasure to join the round table on a subject that sits at the very core of India's aviation transformation: maintenance, repair, and overall. And the theme of this session, local capability for global credibility, captures the challenge and the opportunity before us. If India is to become a true global aviation hub, we must build MRO capabilities that are not only large in scale but trusted in standards and competitive in solutions. This is just not a line. In fact, this is kind of not a statement. This is what we mean when we're talking about MROs in our country. We all know that India's fleet is expanding rapidly. In 2024, that is 2 years back, Indian Airlines operated around 813 aircraft, supported by 149 MROs as fleet. I'm given to understand that we have around 860 aircraft. Altogether, nearly 100 aircraft actually came into the system by the Indian carriers, and obviously some got retired where the lease actually ended. And going forward, by 2029, the fleet is projected to grow to about 1,400 aircraft. Also, this is going to be very, very sizable. Not very long back, 10 years back, 11 years back in 2014, we were hoping around we were hoping around 350 aircraft. And with the number of MROs expected to reach around 200. And this growth presents a clear opportunity, not merely to serve domestic demand, but to attract global maintenance work. However, we feel, and justifiably so, that the scale alone is not enough. Global credibility depends on certification, quality, and reliability. And today, only a small proportion of Indian MROs hold EASA or FAA approvals. Expanding international certification and achieving mutual recognition with key jurisdictions is essential if Indian MROs are to compete for global contracts. During the course of this session, I would like to brief as to what steps we have taken in recent times, in fact, very recently, on this issue of reciprocity. And this matter has been discussed at the highest level. But for now, I would like to brief as the session progresses. The next phase of MRO must also be technology-driven, predictive maintenance using AI, digital twin models for real-time aircraft health monitoring, robotic inspections, and drone-based visual checks can significantly reduce turnaround time, improve compliances, and enhance profitability. These are no longer future concepts, maybe 10 years back or 5 years back, these were future concepts, but they are becoming industry standards globally. Government has already taken several important steps to strengthen this ecosystem. We all know, and in the last couple of years, many things many steps been taken. Custom duties and GST on MRO services have been rationalized, much to the benefit of this important sector. Uniform 5% IGST on imported parts, 100% API under the automatic route, long-term land leases at airports, and removal of royalty charges have all improved the investment making government. Of course, we have to work in this arena more, and in a recently concluded meeting, we decided to launch some study by ERA, which will be working for the PPP airports as far as the royalty sector is concerned. Based on the feedback of MROs, we decided to take this action. Recent projects such as large MRO facilities being developed in Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad, Vizhinjam, and even emerging initiatives in states like Odisha reflect growing confidence in India as an MRO destination. And going forward, what is required is a coherent national MRO strategy. This includes anchoring global OEMs and MRO partnerships, aligning certification framework with FAA and EASA standards, developing 4 or 5 national MRO clusters in different parts of the country with shared infrastructure, and building a strong talent pipeline through globally aligned A&E training programs. Another aspect that I would like to highlight briefly relates to financing, which is another critical pillar. Leveraging platforms such as Gift City for inventory financing and redelivery checks can improve liquidity and attract institutional capital into the MRO segment. To conclude this opening remarks, India has the market, the talent, and the policy momentum. As we speak, what we must now deliver is execution at scale, standards par with global benchmarks, and solutions that are digitally enabled and financially viable. And if we get this right, Indian MROs will not only serve the Indian aviation, it will become a trusted partner for global aviation. India has all the potential to become a global MRO hub, given its geography and strategic position. So I stop here, and in the next 1 hour or so, we are really looking forward to some thoughtful suggestions and inputs. So thank you.
We go from here. He is the CEO, Aviation, and try and steer through the difficult questions and issues that might come forward in the discussions. And we will take a back seat and be able listeners to whatever comments and suggestions that come from all. Over to you, Mr. Shilap.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity already selling in Canada. All the orders coming from the aviation industry, and the government of India, the local government, the airlines industry, the MRO industry, the OEMs, and everyone is right there. And together we are sitting with a common aim. Our common aim is not only to create an MRO in India, it is an Indian one. That ultimate aim of whatever activities we do, whether be it an airline, be it an MRO, or whatever it is, we create a safe environment for the Indian public, which public feels confident to be using. They get the services and advice which they can afford. And ultimately the aim remains is to ensure that every single person in the country is able to afford an aircraft. With that aim, let me just call a person from the largest, not just the most diversified airlines in India. Any airlines which is running domestic, maybe half an hour sector to 17, 18-hour long sector, with a 100-seater aircraft to almost 200-seater aircraft. So that. How is Aviation looking into entering MRO space, and how will the space be expanded in the next 5 years?
Good morning, sir. Good morning, dear students. I am Aviation first. Sir, put me this diversity acquisitions. Yes, we are operating a complete diversity aircraft from different makers in this diversity. And how we are going to mitigate during the MRO and going for the future. So, when we are talking about the MRO, it is just as Secretary Sir has said, 149 MROs and it's going to grow big. But are we there where we should be as per the global standards? You ask me? No, we are not there. We need to be there. And based on the various aspects, we are developing our own MRO at Bangalore, where it is like 35 acres in the complete MRO, which actually catered for the narrow body as a wide body, all including the plane hangars. But when I'm talking about this one, building an MRO itself or an hangar itself is not something the purpose. It is not going to create a complete ecosystem. So you need the human resource, you need the expertise, everything you need. So we went ahead, we are doing the captaining, at the same time we developed the VAPO where people can be trained and the pipeline of the human resource also can come and start working on the MRO sector. So not only for this particularly maintenance MRO, for other MROs also we can start. So we are taking that one. Then another point which I have been advocating to all my people and to the MROs. One thing we are lagging is basically we have done a lot of work on the narrow sector, but the wide body sector in India for the MRO purpose is very much lagging. We are, for example, we don't have a OT hangar in Delhi itself. If you need to do something in Delhi and a wide body, you need to fly the plane either to Nagpur or to Mumbai to do a attraction check or something of that sort. So that wide body hangar segment, we need to develop into such an extent where we should be able to attract wide body and maintenance sectors, MRO sectors to India. We are not there. And of course, as everybody is aware, we need to have the FIEs around the DEC to attract those markets. Of course, Indian MRO has said that's a different ballgame altogether. Where is Mr. Jitendra? We have been, Sapran has been coming up with the Indian MRO. Of course, so we are already been implementing with the ASL. But they are to the scale where we have to go to the level where we should be doing the Indian MRO for other airlines or other operators as well. One other thing I would like to highlight, while we are doing all the MRO and the Indian overall and everything, one thing we are lagging when we are talking of the global credibility and Indian capability is the dual segment, the design organization of global segment, for which we need to, for a repair, we need to develop something, even a small part, even where we do repair and manufacturing. We are solely dependent on the OEMs or FAIs. We are not getting into that. We have gone ahead, we have taken our own DOA so that we can start that process. But my request to the MRO sector is how we can do it indigenous way, so that even if a repair comes up or we need to do any parts, even a small bracket manufacturing, now we are dependent either get an OEM part or you have to get the approval from the OEM, or else you cannot manufacture any bracket. Is that the case? Are we not able enough to manufacture in the same part of the bracket? Yes, there is a provision we can do it. So when we are talking of the MRO segment and the credibility, we should integrate both the things together so that the DO system and including the POA, we have lots of POA, but I don't see anybody is actually utilizing this one. Right now, even if after having the Masa with the FA as well, if the part comes up, the POA comes, then again we are running to the going up to the Airbus, up to anybody to get an approval. We are not able to do that. So those are the couple of things we need to integrate to the whole ecosystem so that we can start the complete MRO system and look for what we call as Indian credibility and quiz do the same. There are some of the details, of course, we can go on talking, but I want to put out here and then we can talk. Thanks.
So, very nicely said that the existing capability of the MROs, the ability to do different jobs, the wide body aircraft, the engine overhaul, the component overhaul, the entire thing is missing in India. Let me just see the other airlines, which is the leading airlines in India. Known for its simplicity and a very simple model and just two types of network and very quietly, silently connecting the India. So let me invite Fateh from Indigo.
Thank you, sir. So, the advantages that Indigo has today is two type of aircraft that we are flying. It is the narrow body 320, 321 and the ATR. That does make the maintenance less complicated reserve is what Air India would be doing today. If I take you back with the Indigo journey, the first 100 aircrafts, we were entirely dependent on MROs for our C checks at various other places outside of India. We gradually moved to a model with the next 100 aircrafts and thereafter to the Indian MROs. Today we are using those Indian MROs, but the idea is that they are not adequate to carry out the maintenance. As Samir sir had said a little while back, we are close to about 860 aircrafts. We in Indigo ourselves are doing about 160 to 170 C checks. Combined everybody, today we are doing almost 270-75 C checks. While I talk about our self-reliance on the Indian MROs for the Indian operators, that is also today only primarily limited to the airframe, which is merely 20% of the entire aircraft. Engines, APUs, components, nacelle are cost and long turnaround times. As an airline today, we are sending these equipments to many places around the world, which defeats the purpose. These are all additional costs. Aviation sustainability becomes difficult for an airline. In the last couple of years, we've clearly seen some very remarkable move by the government with our DGCA to put us on a world map. Certain cost structures were reviewed, which maintenance became more sustainable in-house. Those are some of the steps that we have seen which have helped us, but we are still very far away from what we need. And naturally the solution lies in, everybody knows the number of aircraft that are going to be coming in the next 15 years in India, with the huge orders of Indigo, Air India, Akasa. And there is a market demand here. We all understand that there are complicated regulations, taxes, war between pacts between countries, but I think the governments of different countries have to get together to understand the potential that there is in this part of the world. And it is a need of the hour. Also rightly put in, it is the beginning of many new things that we have to do together. We just need to identify, prioritize, how do we take it step by step. And I think that is what we are together also doing. We've done so much with Sir here as well, Samir sir here as well, to see what can be prioritized to take things forward. We are at a very nascent stage today in terms of the MRO strategy, but I think going in the right direction.
So very well said. Once again, from 100% foreign MROs in the first 5 years of
कर दूँ
the
9000 क्या कहते हैं
to slowly come in India. But still,
11:30 है
be aware of the fact that there is actually no presence of Indian MROs as well, APU and APU and the component structures. Which definitely remains a cause of concern. Now with that, now let me move to the other two airlines in India, and I will just request everyone, knowledge the request of time, let's just restrict ourselves to two cases. So, Daniel Sadana, who is representing Akasa. So,
Thank you for giving us a chance to be at this table here. So I'll just, Akasa is a small fleet right now with 23 planes and we have 126 on order. So like our big brothers here in India, we are catching up. I would focus on three areas which the MRO world needs to focus on, and we are happy to, as Akasa, looking at these areas. One is a pipeline of talent and manpower. That is a factor that cannot be ignored. You can buy machines, you can buy tools, you can buy parts, but you can't buy people. And that requires a mature pipeline to be created, which is 3 to 5 years. So that's something that we all need to look at. The second is that if we want to enhance the MRO world here, we need to bring in technology and expertise into areas that are not explored. We have a great MRO ecosystem, Sharad from AISL, we have GMR, we have Aviation. So they're all storied MROs. But as was said here, that it's airframe is just 20%. So we need to look at bringing in expertise as well as committing to partnerships, because that will give encouragement to MROs and OEMs to come in and set up facilities here. Because without commitments, it's very difficult to move wide. It's a big investment game. And last but not the least is to adopt technology like AI, robotics, and other things that Honorable Secretary talked about, which is the need of the hour. So these three components put together will ensure that the MRO ecosystem grows in the correct manner. We have 114 MROs, we have 149 right now, but the question needs to be asked that how many of them are contributing to the airline MRO business? We have a lot of small MROs who do wheels and brakes, ovens, boilers, but the high-tech stuff where the money is in and where the airlines need help needs to be explored. And these 3 points need to be factored by those who are keen to start up MROs, and we as Akasa are committed and willing to partner with those who are interested in going ahead. We have a small and growing fleet, but we are willing to give that commitment to those who see India as a place to start up something. Thanks a lot for that.
thank you. And now let me just come down to the group of small airlines who are not relying on the Airbus 320s or 737s. The small airlines who are feeding the country, who are into the Udan routes, who may have a different type of aircraft and different needs. So, let me invite Star Airlines.
Morning. Thank you all for the and taking the timeline of Aviation we operate in the 5 to 5 day cities, and the main challenge what we face is the type of aircraft what we have. There is no ecosystem available in India for the aircraft. So we are in the path of establishing our own ecosystem, for training, for MRO. Not only the routes, we also want to take this MRO to the type of city, not only sitting on the tier 1 cities. So that my main request to the Secretary and the Economic Advisor is to make a single window system for the MRO so that there is ease of doing, building up the MRO and ease of processing the MRO. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very well said. The ease of doing business and everything will be okay. But what for? The carbon footprint of people? Well, it is. It is illegal. You put the UK or people on easily and you get it. So, anyway, having said that, it's not just that the aircraft maintenance, which anyway is just 20% of the entire business. The remaining 80%, as each of the airlines here has been pointed out, is badly going abroad. The engine maintenance, the component maintenance. And having said that, it's not that India will remain dependent on the foreigners forever. One major initiative is coming in India, and let me go into about the saffron, the engines, the engine overhaul facility in India. How do you intend putting resources into the place so that the Indian industry gets what and they get the engine which is totally reliable and
Right, Shakti. I mean, most of the guys in the room are aware of the recent inauguration which happened in Hyderabad itself for the engine MRO, which is even for us, it is the largest MRO under the single roof globally for saffron. So that itself gives you an indication that the demand needs to be fulfilled in country, and many more MROs in future will take use from here and will build. Now to your second part of the question is that what are the challenges or one thing is, and most of us are speaking, is the skill availability is the biggest challenge. Retaining the skill which we develop is another bigger challenge because we have adjacent geographies attracting talent for much bigger remuneration. For skill building, what we are doing is we have tied up with a couple of academic institutes and we have built in specific tailor-made courses in the 7th and the 8th semester for those colleges. And we will be also doing a 6-month-long OJT in our facilities so that we build those. Of course, all those who trained will not get absorbed by us, but they will be available as an industry-ready resource. But I think this needs to be more channelized through some kind of an incentive-based system with the support of the ministry, and I will request Piruchi separately on this. The second part is on the same lines is civil military synergy, which is totally unexplored and exploited right now, and the secretary here is coming from Ministry of Defence, so that's a good example of civil military synergy. But we are setting up military MRO adjacent to the civil MRO, and we find that we need to find some innovative ways of going about doing it and using the military's expertise to augment this gap in the civil other than the academic institutions. There are two submissions.
Yeah. So, Mr. Dash was also talking about setting up an aviation academy. GMR has already set up an aviation academy. Having said that, everyone is just waiting for the 20% of the total the engine maintenance, how are the students coming in, how will they get skilled, how will they get absorbed in the MRO, and what happens to the people who are not absorbed. Next. Defense, yes, there are a lot of engine overall facilities that are running. Are the people coming out of defense industry ready to be absorbed into the civil industry and is accepting their qualifications, their licenses, their approvals, whatever they have into the civil space? That's always a question mark. Having said that, I think now in the interest of time, let me just now expedite and run faster than this. Let me also invite another MRO which is from the government sector, which is essentially a manufacturing organization but also venturing into the MRO space. So let me call Rajesh for a chair.
Respected Chair, distinguished panelists, actually I'd like to take forward the point which Mr. Dorkar has brought out. How is HAL developing its capability on defense portfolio? So HAL, we have developed a vision to have an integrated MRO hub at Nasik, and this is basically with an intention of aligning with the Government of India's vision of military and civil corporations. And based on that, we have in fact transformed a full defense hangar into a civil hangar with CAR 145 regulation. And the most important thing which has been brought in the country was a strategic partnership with Airbus. So Airbus has been supporting through various phases of consulting to HAL to develop this MRO capability so that the local capability is actually getting the global credibility. So with that intent in mind and with OEM on board, the first phase is developing an airframe MRO, and then subsequently we go towards component and engine MRO. And because Nasik, we also have a center of excellence for landing gears. So that's what is the second phase on which we are developing upon, using our military base and then move forward towards civil landing gears. Thank you.
So in a way, that is the defense sector getting into the civil steel. And the synergy is there. The landing gear shop, the tie-up with Airbus. So you are running into what is the theme of the country. Coming back now, some of the biggest MROs here. So let me explain my activity. How are you going to diversify to satisfy the current needs of the airlines, not just the narrow body aircraft, the wide body aircraft, maybe the engine and component for all of this.
Morning everybody, I'm Ashok Gopinath from GMR Aerotelly, tomorrow. Keeping to the theme of the today's discussion, just today we are already, as far as narrow body is concerned, we are India's national MRO. What we call it as local for India and India for global. We are actually a spread of businesses around 40% on the domestic side and 60% on the overseas side. That's where we are in the narrow body side. Keeping with that line, we are now putting up a new wide body complex. Eventually, we will have 3 wide body hangars. By 2028, our intention is to integrate the first wide body, either a 787 or a 350. We are looking at that option. While we are scaling up and expanding the facility, we are also have initiated already this discussion started, training program has started for getting Part 21 approval from EASA and DGCA. We are already having a school as far as skill is concerned. We are already having an EASA and DGCA approved 147 school, basic school, as well as a type training school. The intent of the school is to bring it as a center of excellence in line with Flight Safety International, how a professional flight international school provides all kind of training. So that's how we want to develop the school as India's Flight Safety International School model. And then we also bring in, as we expand the wide body, the cabin interior becomes more and more important. So we are in discussion, very advanced stage discussion, bringing the cabin interior modifications and interior refurbishment for first class, business class that is needed for wide body. That capability is being brought into the country. That will be parallelly set up along with our wide body capability. And today India lacks, though we are well known in the region for narrow body painting, but today unfortunately there is no single facility for wide body, and that's the reason you see every aircraft going all the way from here to Seattle and across the city. So that should be over by 2028. We will have a full-fledged wide body up-to-date latest capability of wide body painting, including wherever possible the digital painting will be available. So the complex that we are putting up is a wide body hangar with the capability for painting also. Also we are for cabin interior, Part 21 approval, and then we are similarly the component is the next one which we will become. We are looking at expanding the value something which is next focus. Today we are already what we call it as key components, like the basic component, we have already brought in the capability. Some of the airlines are already which actually is providing support of cabin for the basic components, and so we are going to expand further. So component is the need of our engine is already there. While I have 2 requests with the government and 1 request with the government, 1 request with the airlines is government. Today I know government has taken a lot of initiatives for bringing up supporting the industry, but I still feel that when we talk to our industry colleagues, friends from the other side of the table, there is still a perception that we still haven't done enough. So I think there's some infrastructure we could plan and see what needs to shake that opinion of, bring this big voice into the game from outside into India. That is something which we definitely need. Secondly is, I also requested, though I'm not asking for any concession or any favor from the local airlines here, but definitely little bit of support will be required when we put up a wide body, when as we expand some of the though we don't have any commitment to any operator today, but we go ahead and put it because steady airline industry to see how that can be nature, we can grow. Because today is a world of collaborative world. No individual can do anything, single entity can grow. All those big boys we see today here in the world, they all are MROs the last 50 to 70 years. Nobody came in the last 5 years and said they do out. So that will be a time where we will have a facing growth period, a consolidation period. So today we already see consolidation happening in the industry. So that's of course something which I look from the industry. And the last point that discloses up that though government released a circular of consolidation of the IGST of the aircraft parts, but I still say, notwithstanding the clarification issued by government, it is still not being fully available. So you will still find variations where the customs are in some location it is 5%, some location it is 18%. So the airline and the airlines both are having still the same issue going on. I think we need to do something about it, bring in more clarity and more focus in the order, so that there is no room for further discretionary interpretation. Government is very clear. Thank you, administration. Thank you for that support that we all got. But I somehow feel that we are missing that opportunity to encash it, and its benefit is not flowing down because it's still being interpreted very liberally.
Okay, we come quickly to that also the government support is required. And we see one of the aircraft which has been converted from the 320 aircraft converted to all business class, 50-seater and all the nights. It's a beautiful aircraft, I've seen that. So from the narrow body interiors getting to the wide body aircraft maintenance and the wide body aid facilities. Definitely we are looking forward to some exciting days with the GMR. Now, some of the global MRs. So let me just go on to further technique. Sir, how did you do it? And what do you suggest that MR industry has to do?
Yeah, so thanks first of all, it was a really for getting in touch and together. I think when we're looking at the market here, it's the third largest domestic market in the world. We were talking a bit about the numbers, 1,000 aircrafts going up to 1.5, up to 4,000. There's an increase over 4-fold over the next 20 years. The market is there. There's no discussion about the growth in this market. And I think we were talking a little bit in the morning with Daniel about what are the challenges. I don't think the challenges are policies. When the last time I was here, 2 years ago, I think the GST, 100% FDI investment, all of these things have been put in place. And I think when we talk about what the challenge, at the end, yes, we're quite right, 70-80% of that MRO is going out. And what needs to be done? That's the question. When we look at globally the challenges, we've got supply chain issues, parts issues, the complexities of these aircrafts are getting more and more complex. But I think the major thing, which I think all of us are talking about this morning as well, is really getting the people. So the aviation, the fleets are there, they're growing, there's no discussion with their marketing. The question, of course, is for the MROs to get the people to grow that ecosystem. It's there, but what as we as MROs can do to come into this ecosystem and where we get the people to grow with that? I think that's the major question that we have. It's not just here, it's all over the world, but I think more importantly here because of this tremendous growth. So I think these are the questions we're asking ourselves, and I think all of us are asking. I think that's the biggest challenge for us. Thanks.
That's quite interesting. Okay, let me just now invite Vivek from GMSK. Virtually every single aircraft entering into India is being powered by GM. how do you look towards to support the Indian industry for that?
Sure. First of all, Honorable Chair and respected distinguished delegates, thank you for the opportunity to represent GE Aerospace views here on this forum. I'll start with a bit of background, right? I mean, GE has been committed to India since the last 4 decades, and we have always endeavored not to look at India as just a market to sell stuff, because we have endeavored to build engineering talent, manufacturing talent, and use India as a sourcing base through our engineering centers in Bangalore, manufacturing in Pune, and then setting up supplier base in the country. We've also had the opportunity to partner with AISL to set up the Nagpur MRO in job, which I personally had the opportunity to visit a couple of years back, which is a fabulous facility that can do the wide body overhauls. I would also like to thank the government for bringing in tremendous reforms on the lines of taxation, making it easy for airlines to bring in aircraft, bring out aircraft, right? Rationalizing customs duty, helping out with land reforms. But I think someone said, right, we are right now thinking from a point of view of 800 aircraft. Whereas I think the future is about 2,000 odd narrow bodies operating and close to about 300 wide bodies. And that should happen in the space of the next decade. With such a large fleet, there is tremendous need for quick turnaround, not just at the aircraft level, but at the engine level. And I think there are possibly 2 or 3 areas that we could focus on. If I focus on the wide body space as well. The first is, local has to be competitive with global. And it is not just on cost. There are 4 areas that we have to work towards, which is the GE philosophy that we believe in is SQDC, which is safety, quality, reliability, and cost, in that order. That's the first thing. I think the second thing that we have to think about the whole space is how is it attractive to get the top talent in the space. Because MRO, unlike manufacturing, is a lot dependent on the talent, the workforce, people who are motivated to drive, bring change, and like someone said, right, the ability to bring in local repairs. And I think the third thing from the request would be we all need to take a look at global hubs like Singapore, Malaysia, Dubai, right, and look at how can we be as good as or better than those hubs. Because once we are able to build that framework, you will naturally attract talent, and you will naturally be able to build the infrastructure. That's what that's my final comment.
Thank you. So, looking forward to the G's, many more G's, and maybe the G shop in India very soon. Now, having said that, the Airbus, that's one of the largest OEMs today supplying the aircraft. Virtually, the Indian aviation is depending only on 2 players today. So, how do you intend supporting the MRO industries, and how do you intend does Airbus have any plan to be expanding into MRO space?
Airbus provides training for MRO, it provides tools, it provides materials, and as Rajesh was mentioning, we also provide consulting for MRO setup. On the airplane MRO, what we have seen is it is not only meeting to their domestic demand, but also demand from neighboring countries. And of course, we will be releasing the numbers in our media release. We see that MRO will grow up to 9.5 billion over next 10 years. So we see a huge growth coming up, and Airbus is there to complement. And again, to join issues with my panelists, the major issue what we see is the requirement of talented quality manpower. works on the training. We have our own maintenance training school. So this is also a key focus for Airbus as to how to support this ecosystem with a quality and trained manpower who can match up to the global regulations, and that is why we are all working on the EASA certified manpower from there.
Now, having for Airbus, how can I leave going behind? Sir, over to Boeing.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Thank you, Shruti. I think couple of points, looking for all several thoughts that my other co-panelists have made, but two important pillars of our strategy is one, we launched something called as BIRDS, Going India Repair Development and Sustainment Hub, a few years back. And the principle of BIRDS being launched was that Boeing is not in the business of building their own MRO or hangars. I think we have taken a call that that's not the best business just from our overhead structure perspective. Our approach is more aligned with building a self-reliance or an Atmanirbhar system. So what we do there, and taking the cue from initial comments that were there, we try to focus on the civil defense synergy and see how that can play into building the capabilities. So for example, when we do the phase 56 checks on our derivative aircraft, Airbus, that helps build capability in that particular area. When we do a landing gear work with AISL, that helps India to advance in the key component area which is missing. When we partner with GMR on a Boeing converted freighter conversion facility, that helps sort of build that capability in the region for the growth in the region. So our approach is really about partnering with Indian MROs. Again, we understand and I'm here to accept that there are certain areas where there can be a lot more work. I think the partnership with airlines from an access of CMM and all of that is something that can continue to be done. But really it's about partnering and bringing those capabilities where we have, let's say, more access to IP or control is our approach. The second approach is also, there is a lot of work which is being done on AI and technology. We have a large engineering center in Bangalore. So the drone-based inspection, for example, again, what we are doing is we are developing a pilot for one of the defense platforms. And again, it's synergy, right? If we are able to do a drone-based inspection, we are building the AI algorithm to do visual inspection from the drone, use that image-based analytics, and do a predictive maintenance. So that entire suite of solutions being built out of Bangalore, and we are, will be soon ready to roll out that with our customers and then take it forward. So those are the two broad approaches that we are using at this point.
So yeah, that is also getting interesting now. Now let's just, from aircraft manufacturers, aircraft OEMs to the engines, and now let me come down to one of the sophisticated events components, factors. So yes, Science Group has recently inaugurated their own facility in NCR. How do you intend expanding? How do you intend supporting the Indian industry?
Sure. Thank you, Ministry. Thank you, distinguished guests. In terms of Honda's presence in India, I think this is not like what Mr. Ashok said, it's not something that we've been here for almost 70 years, 7 decades. And in that aspect, we have built a core and belief in our triangular, I would say, strategy that we have. Made in India, innovate in India, and export from India. In that aspect, we believe in what I do in the distinguished panels here also to build up a core of manpower, competency, and also expertise. In that aspect, we have over 2,000 employees here in India, and out of that, 3/4 of that are engineers. And feeling that we have two engineering centers, design centers, one in Bangalore, which is focused on manufacturing software for IFE products. That's going to continue expanding. A second one is Noida is going to do that for cyber and also digital systems, which eventually also be in IFE.
But having said all of that, we also have and believe in the self-reliance strategy of India. We've adopted in partners a local to global strategy, which is in line with all what I just mentioned. And in terms of that, what Mr. Sharat has mentioned, we last year inaugurated a repair center dedicated to service the India Airlines. Why we want to do that, I think that's what Mr. David has mentioned earlier, is as long as Indian Airlines are committed to partnership, we are willing to see that and work with them for the growth. How we have done that is we have been in partnership with distinguished airlines like Indigo, Air India, and have our equipment on board in terms of avionics and IFE. And in the recent, and Air India's 787 right now are parked outside. You'll see our IFE, and if you have a chance, you can probably see that as well. And in terms of that, we believe in self-reliance and having the repairs done through our repair shops in India. So in that aspect, we believe this is something that we want to impart and also stand on our strategy to be able to have local presence, reliance, and also exporting, servicing the Indian industry. So having said that, also we believe in all these three key areas, as I just mentioned. One, to grow the local talent. Two, to empower the service lines. And three, to obviously meet and grow the standards that we have locally to be global standards. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Now let me just come down to Bharat. I'll just invite you, representing the MRO industry in India, number one. Guest 5 minutes. What's your vision to support the airlines in India? Number one. Number two, what are the major supports which you may need from OEMs, from the airlines, and from the government of India? And but please restrict yourself to 4 minutes. We are already 5 minutes behind.
Thank you, Sharad ji. Good morning, all. Piyush ji, Ms. Garima, thank you for having me here today. Little 2-minute background on myself. I represent Max Aerospace. We are ostensibly today India's largest OEM supported component workshop, with a factory service center for Safran Aerosystems, for Liebherr and for Collins. As my friend Ashok said, bulk of our revenues, almost 70%, is actually coming from export, the rest from Indian areas. Approved under FA and EASA. And thanks to the continuous efforts of this government, and I mean it in absolute sincerity, we will now able to build a new workshop, which will be India's single largest vertically integrated component overall shop, estimated to be inaugurated this third quarter. We started in a room 8 square meters in 1994. We have both the civil and the military side. In fact, we have recently entered into a partnership with their helicopters to set up an FAL with military aircraft at Nagpur, with the blessings of the government of Maharashtra. Having given that background, let me go to the fundamental issues. Indian MRO has a lot more to achieve, as we've all discussed. You'll all be happy to note that a groundwork has been laid out by the Ministry of Civil Aviation, by Mr. Sameer and Mr. Piyush. Over the last 6 or 7 months, we have entered into very serious reform ideas. Each and every member of the team has been part of that reform team, whether it's Air India, Indigo, GMR, Airbus. And we have finally created a document that will, in our opinion, galvanize Indian MRO. The word is galvanize because it has been long overdue. For a country of our size, if we continue to import, which we estimate is more than 90% of the MRO, I think this galvanization, once the reform processes are put into place, which we anticipate should be soon enough, will bring at least half of that to in-country in the next 3 to 4 years. And I mentioned 3 to 4 because we actually don't have infrastructure as much, apart from Sharad's offices. Nobody has component infrastructure. I know Jitendra is taking an Indian infrastructure, but then again, you know, APU infrastructure, and we have to go into bricks and mortar. So the first thing you do is actually build facility from the ground up. You don't have to get it. From the airlines, the MRO expectation is rather small. We know you support us. So I can't complain. At best, the challenges the smaller MROs, the ones that you would need that, when you talk about 20% airfreight, our 80% bracket, is going to need support of the airlines with the OEMs. I cannot ask this of airframe companies like Boeing and Airbus, because they are not really an MRO company. It is you who will be able to support us, especially when we get a hurdle for the technology transfer, or what we call in military parlance, MDOT, maintenance duty. There are restrictions. It's one of the causes why India hasn't been able to deliver MRO. They may be half this room willing to invest if the technology was available from a particular OEM. That is where we want the airlines to stand by us. The rest, I don't need to convince you. You've seen the vindication of the results of what Indian MROs has delivered despite these challenges and problems. So we ask of the government, which is, we have gone through a process. We request you to please bring it out into the domain through the process that we have, PIP or whatever. We want that to come out not just as what we have done as a team, but to bring a sense of sensitivity to all the departments. We cannot stay at 10% forever. 10% is really too low for a nation of 1.4 billion people. And given to understand latest statistics from Department of Education, we are producing close to 500,000 engineers and technicians per year. So to answer the question for people, pipeline for qualified people, yes. Training, I think the MROs and the airlines will do it. Cost, we will bear, but we should be able to afford it through expansion. And expansion will, we believe, come when we work closely with our customers and our government, and clearing this last line. We believe it's the last line hurdle of the reform process, which again is a kudos to you, and you really stood by the build on it. We're waiting to see the success. Thank you, Shah.
Thank you, Bharat. Thanks for keeping it simple. Thanks for keeping it small. Thank you. So, sir, with this the aviation industry is expanding. We are looking towards 1,000+ additional aircraft getting added into the ecosystem in the next 5 years. The MRO space right now, essentially for narrow body, there is maybe a lot of players, but wide body, the airlines need support. 20% of the entire business is coming from the airframe, maybe there are not yet players. But the engine maintenance and the component maintenance remains a pain point for the airlines. Yes, some OEMs are setting up their shops, and hopefully things will be better in the next 5 years. The skilling gap, the numerous basic unfortunate schools in India, the standalone schools and also the schools run by the airlines, they are creating people who are essentially going to run the 20% of the entire business, that's the aircraft maintenance. But for the engine maintenance and for the component maintenance, perhaps there is no training ground available. The synergy required from the defense sector, which can bring a lot of experienced technicians into the ecosystem, needs to be explored and expanded further. And towards the end, as certainly said, a certain reform which he is accepting from the government, and he is looking forward that his demands are taken care of. So, with that said, I'd like to submit them. I'm sorry that I missed out some of the panelists. I could not cooperate because of the paucity of time. Sorry about that. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sharaji. It has indeed been a very engaging session, and I must confess that it has been very different from the sessions that I have had with the industry in the last so many years that I have been in the government. For one, it really stands out because unlike the earlier sessions that I had in this ministry and earlier ministries earlier after us, is that that this has not been a grip session, it has not been a debate session, it has been clearly a very, very positive session. What I really like is that all the players, all the stalwarts and captains of industry highlighted what they are doing and what they actually intend to do and how to take the industry forward, not necessarily with government support and not necessarily with regulatory support. They want to stand up on their own, which is a sign of maturity of the industry and also the fact that probably I would like to accept what you have been saying and compliment myself and pat myself and the fact that what had to be done has largely been done from the government side. What still needs to be done is very, very important. Mr. Lughani made a very valid point. Most of you are part of the committee that was set up at Ministry of Civil Aviation a couple of months back. We have finalized the report, submitted it to the government. Although I know I am part of the government, but when I submit a report, I am not part of the government, I am part of the industry. So I have submitted the report as part of the industry, and now from the part of the government, I am taking it up and trying to get it implemented. There are various issues that need to be solved. We will definitely work on that. A couple of points that came up here. One was about the single window clearance that was raised. Sharatji did clarify on that, but I am not really sure what exactly is required from the single window, because as of now, clearances are given through a single window. But if there is anything else that needs to be done, we'll be more than happy to take it up and ensure that at least ease of doing business is ensured. Again, harping back to the same point, what needs to be done by the government. I do believe that you had some issues about what still needs to be done. You did not elaborate on that, but if you can forward to us what you think needs to be done has not been done and not touched upon, we'll take it up. The IGST 5% notification, as well as I understand, for all aircraft parts that are there, irrespective of the chapters of harmonized classification, are covered under 5%. What is not covered are certain raw materials and certain consumables, because probably they have dual use. But if you think they are singular use and exclusively for aircraft, do highlight it to us, and that should be easily sorted out. So on that note, I think I must really acknowledge once again that this has been a very, very fruitful session, and thank you very much for all the suggestions. And I urge you all to give a big hand for yourself. It's been a